Sara Greenwood lived in the busy city of San Francisco, where tall buildings touched the sky. Each morning, she woke up and looked in the mirror, but instead of seeing someone who could achieve great things, she only saw her fears and worries staring back at her. As she drank her coffee, a little voice inside her whispered, "You are not good enough." This voice made her anxious and unsure of herself. At work, Sara would sit quietly in meetings, her heart racing whenever she had to speak. She took the easy way out, letting others share their ideas while she remained hidden in the background. It felt safer that way, but deep down, she craved the bravery to share her thoughts. Every time she missed a chance to shine, she felt her dream of becoming a project manager slip further away. As she walked home, the city lights twinkled around her, but they offered little comfort. Her friends often praised her talent, yet she could only focus on her doubts. It felt like being trapped in a heavy cloud of gray, with no way out. She longed for a way to break free, to see herself differently and live a life filled with positivity and confidence. One rainy afternoon, Sara found herself taking a different route home from work. The usual path felt dull, so she wandered into a small bookstore tucked away between two busy cafes. The warm smell of coffee and the faint sound of soft music embraced her. She loved being surrounded by books, and today, they seemed to whisper promises of new beginnings. As she browsed the shelves, something bright caught her eye. It was a book titled The Magic of Positive Thinking. The cover was cheerful, filled with bright colors and a smiling sun. For a moment, Sara felt curious. Could this book have the answers she sought? She picked it up and flipped through the pages, reading bits and pieces. The words spoke directly to her heart. You have the power to change your thoughts. With every positive thought, you can create a new path. Sara felt a spark of hope igniting inside her. It was both exciting and frightening. What if this was the change she had been hoping for? However, as the excitement surged, so did her doubts. Could she really change? She felt so stuck in her old ways, where negativity ruled her thoughts every day. The little voice echoed, "You can never change. You will always be this way." But for the first time, another voice quietly began to speak. It said, "What if you can?" Emboldened by the shift in her thinking, Sara decided to purchase the book. As she walked home, droplets of rain danced on her umbrella, whispering new possibilities. She couldn't wait to dive into the pages. That evening, she sat in her cozy living room wrapped in a soft blanket. The glow of the lamp filled the space with warmth. She opened the book, ready to learn. With every word she read, a feeling of excitement flowed through her veins. The book was filled with stories of people who learned to shift their thoughts and dreams. The stories reflected her own struggles, making her feel less alone. Each lesson felt like a key turning in her mind, unlocking new ways to think about her life. Although she felt a growing sense of hope, the feeling of doubt still lingered at the edges of her mind. What if this doesn't work for me, she wondered. Is it realistic to think I can change after all this time? Yet, as she turned the pages, Sara began to notice a change. She learned about the power of setting small goals and celebrating victories, no matter how tiny. That night, a sense of determination blossomed within her. Sara marked one line in the book that struck her: change starts with a single step. She decided then and there to take that step. Perhaps she would practice speaking up at work, even if it was just in small ways. The thought both excited and terrified her, but the possibility of seeing herself differently filled her with a sense of purpose. As she prepared for bed, she realized that she had opened a door to a new world. The road ahead might be difficult, but for the first time, she felt ready to begin her journey towards seeing herself as enough. The next day, Sara woke up feeling both nervous and excited. As she sipped her coffee, she remembered the words from her new book. Change starts with a single step. Inspired, she pulled out her laptop and began searching for local workshops. She stumbled upon a public speaking class offered just a few blocks from her apartment. Her heart raced as she read about the sessions. This is it, thought Sara. This could be my first step toward change. But as soon as she made the decision to sign up, doubts crept in. What if I embarrass myself? The little voice in her head whispered its familiar fears, reminding her of all those times she silenced herself in meetings. Still, the spark ignited by the book pushed her to hit the register button. On the night of the first class, Sara stood in front of the mirror, trying to calm her racing heart. Her hands felt clammy, and she practiced deep breathing. "You can do this," she told herself. As she stepped into the classroom, a wave of warmth washed over her. The instructor greeted everyone with a smile, and Sara felt a strange mix of comfort and anxiety. The class started with a group activity where everyone shared why they wanted to improve their speaking skills. When it was her turn, she swallowed hard. "I'm here because I want to be more confident," she spoke softly. To her surprise, the group nodded encouragingly. It felt good to share, and for the first time, she sensed an atmosphere of support. However, the challenges quickly emerged. Each week, the exercises became more intense, with members needing to deliver short speeches on various topics. With every presentation, her heart pounded in her chest. What if they think I'm not good enough? She wondered as she clutched her notes. Yet, she kept reminding herself of her goal. Each time she stood before the group, even if her voice shook, she could hear the supportive claps and cheers pushing her forward. The moment she finished her third speech, a rush of pride filled her. She received positive feedback from classmates, telling her how brave she was just for speaking up. After the small win, something shifted inside her. Sara began to practice at home. She'd stand in front of the mirror, speaking to herself about her dreams and ideas. The more she did it, the stronger her voice became. The days that followed were filled with new little victories. When a colleague asked for input on a project, she didn't hesitate. "I think we could try," she said during a meeting. The surprise on her teammates' faces when she shared her thoughts filled her with a renewed spirit. Each time she spoke, a bit of confidence blossomed within her. During one particular class, they practiced storytelling, and Sara chose to share a memory from childhood. Her story touched the room, and laughter filled the air. For the first time, she felt alive while speaking. As her classmates cheered for her at the end, the realization struck her: she was not that frozen girl anymore. With every small win, she felt the chains of her self-doubt beginning to crack. Even though it's only the beginning, Sara could sense that she was on her way to becoming the confident person she always wished to be. A few weeks later, Sara had been feeling more confident thanks to her public speaking class. Regular practice and support from her classmates made her believe in herself a little more each day. Then, one bright afternoon at work, her manager, Mr. Lee, called her into his office. The sun shone through the window, lighting up the space and adding to her sense of anticipation. "Sara, we have an important event coming up," Mr. Lee said, looking serious. "We would like you to present our new project to our clients. I believe you would do great." His words held weight. Finally, an opportunity that could showcase all the hard work she had put in. Yet, as soon as he finished speaking, a wave of fear washed over her. "What? Me?" Sara's heart began to race. The excitement that filled the room quickly turned into doubt. What if I fail? What if I forget my words? A storm of worries gathered in her mind. She could feel her palms growing sweaty and her stomach twisting in knots. A presentation to clients was a big responsibility, unlike anything she had done before. While Mr. Lee spoke about the details, Sara's attention drifted. Images of herself stumbling through the presentation played in her head. She pictured the clients looking at her skeptically, waiting for her to say something wise but instead hearing silence or stuttering. Catastrophic thoughts filled her imagination, showing her everything that could go wrong. Each new thought wrapped around her like heavy weights pulling her down. After the meeting, her hands trembled as she walked back to her desk. The inner critic spoke louder than ever, mocking the small victories she had made in her growth. "You're going to mess this up, just like before," the voice echoed in her mind. "You don't deserve this chance." Filled with a mix of fear and anxiety, Sara fought with the tension inside her. The hope she had once felt now felt fragile, about to shatter. That evening, as she prepared for bed, she opened her book again. The pages still glowed with inspiring messages, but today they felt distant. What if? Questions clouded her thoughts like dark clouds covering the sun. "What if I fail?" she whispered, her voice tinged with apprehension. Suddenly, memories of her class flooded her mind, her teacher telling her to embrace fear and use it as fuel. She thought of her classmates cheering for her, pushing her forward despite the doubts that followed. Sara decided to take a deep breath and write down her thoughts. She opened her notebook and let the words flow. "I fear I will fail at the presentation," she wrote, followed by, but I also hope I will do well. This is my chance to show what I've learned." With each line she wrote, her fear turned into reflection. The struggle inside her heart simmered as she recognized that this moment was both a challenge and a gift. She could choose to let fear take control, or she could stand strong, knowing she had taken steps forward. Sara reminded herself that feeling scared didn't mean she couldn't succeed, it meant she was taking a risk. As she closed her notebook, a tiny flicker of determination sparked within her. She decided that she would prepare, practice, and show up for herself. Confronting her fear would be her next small step toward growth, even if it was the hardest step she had ever faced. The day of the presentation finally arrived, and Sara's nerves were like wild butterflies in her stomach. She woke up early, practicing her speech in front of the mirror, her heart pounding with each word. "You can do this," she reminded herself, taking deep breaths to calm her racing heart. The sunlight spilled into her room, but the warmth didn't completely chase away her fear. Still, she held tightly to the small glimmer of trust she had built during her public speaking class. As she made her way to work, the short walk felt like a long journey. "What if I forget what to say?" she thought. Brushing aside the fear, she decided to focus instead on the message she wanted to share. "This is my chance," she muttered under her breath. Her mind reminded her of the stories of others who had overcome fear and doubt. She remembered the smiles and cheers from her classmates and the words of her teacher, who emphasized that mistakes are part of learning. When she arrived at the meeting, the room felt larger than it ever had before. The clients sat around the table, their eyes expectant. The pressure felt like a thick fog, but as she stood in front of them, Sara inhaled deeply, centering herself with every breath. She began by introducing the project, her voice trembling slightly but firm. As she spoke, the initial nerves slowly morphed into determination. She glanced at her notes, then back at the audience, remembering the encouragement she had received in class. Piece by piece, she delivered her speech. When her words turned into ideas and emotions, she could feel a different energy bubbling within her. The butterflies in her stomach began to settle down as she moved from one point to another. Then, halfway through, she stumbled. A word danced out of her mind, just out of reach, and panic flared up like a small flame. "Oh no," she thought. But rather than sinking under the weight of her fear, she took a breath. In that moment of uncertainty, clarity struck her like lightning. Everyone makes mistakes, she reminded herself, recalling the lessons she had learned. It's okay to pause and gather your thoughts. With renewed hope, she smiled at the audience, acknowledging her slip. "Let me take a moment," she stated, her voice stronger now. As she collected her thoughts, she noticed her apprehension fading away. The clients nodded, some even smiled back, encouraging her. The warmth of their reaction comforted her, reminding her of her progress. Finally, she picked up her speech where she left off, and with a burst of confidence, she continued sharing her ideas. The moments that used to feel overwhelming now felt like part of her journey. By the time she wrapped up, acknowledgement replaced her earlier fear. She could see their faces reflecting interest, and as she finished, a wave of pride surged in her chest. The applause that followed washed away all her doubts. Scraps of nervousness remained, but they felt lighter than before, replaced by a sense of accomplishment. "I did it," she thought, her heart glowing with warmth. In that moment, Sara understood that challenges do not define her. Instead, it was the courage to confront her fears, to embrace the uncertainty, that truly matters. She looked at the clients, seeing their smiles and eagerness to work with her team. This was exactly what she had hoped for. The moment was transformative. In that room and with each step she took, Sara was no longer just a girl filled with self-doubt, she was a budding voice, learning to shine. As the applause settled, Sara felt a mix of joy and relief wash over her. She had done it, she had faced her fears and delivered her presentation. Clients smiled and shared positive comments about her ideas and how clearly she communicated them. Their reactions sparked a warmth inside her that she had never felt before. This was different from the fear that once filled her days. After the meeting, Mr. Lee approached her, a proud smile spreading across his face. "I knew you could do it, Sara. You handled that presentation beautifully," he said, his voice filled with encouragement. Her heart swelled, and for a moment, she could hardly believe what she was hearing. "Thank you," she replied, her voice steady but laced with astonishment. In the days that followed, the ripple effects of her success became even clearer. The clients were impressed, and the project moved forward swiftly thanks to her work. She received compliments not just about her presentation but also about her ideas. Colleagues began approaching her for help, asking for her insights on various tasks. Each time someone valued her opinion, she felt the cage of self-doubt shifting, pieces falling away. Sara realized something profound during this time. Each effort she made before the meeting, every practice session was not just about the task itself but about believing in her own growth. She understood that this moment was a turning point, a key in unlocking the real Sara hidden beneath layers of insecurity. It built resilience within her, a newfound ability to stand tall even when facing obstacles. During her next public speaking class, Sara stood in front of her classmates once again. This time, she didn't approach the podium with fear, instead, she radiated confidence. She smiled at her peers and shared her story about the presentation. "I was terrified, but then we learned that it's okay to feel afraid," she said, her voice steady. "Sometimes, that fear can push you to be better." Her classmates nodded, inspired by her transformation. This shift in her mindset felt electric. No longer did she view fear as an enemy, now, it was a companion, guiding her toward growth. She began to set new challenges for herself, leading team meetings, teaching smaller work groups, and even volunteering to help newcomers at her company. Each step elevated her confidence a little more, and every time she spoke in front of others, she could hear the original voice of doubt quieting down. Her experience told her that growth is a process, one with moments of struggle but filled with bursts of victory, no matter how small. By leaning into discomfort, Sara saw potential for herself. The deeper she explored her strengths and weaknesses, the more she got to know who she was. Each moment spent developing resilience became a building block of a new foundation within her. Sara's journey didn't end with that one presentation, it blossomed into a commitment to embrace challenges instead of avoiding them. With every passing day, she felt closer to the confident, capable person she had always wanted to be. The seeds of self-doubt, once so powerful, slowly diminished as her belief in herself flourished with every new experience. It was a pivotal moment, not just in one successful presentation but also in the larger picture of who she was becoming. In the days following her presentation, Sara felt different. The compliment from Mr. Lee echoed in her mind, "You handled that presentation beautifully." It filled her with pride and solidified her sense of achievement. Yet, she knew this experience was more than just about speaking in public. It offered a glimpse into a stronger part of herself, a part she never realized was waiting to emerge. As she went back to her regular routine, she encountered new challenges at work. Busy projects demanded her attention, and decisions had to be made quickly. Instead of feeling the rush of anxiety, she found herself approaching each task with a renewed sense of confidence. When faced with tight deadlines, she reminded herself how she stood in front of clients and conquered her fears. If she could handle that, surely she could tackle these everyday pressures. There were moments when doubt still tried to creep in. During a team meeting, Sara was asked to share her ideas on an important project. While she initially felt a flutter of nerves, the experience of her recent success pushed those thoughts back. "Remember," she thought, "I can do this." She took a breath and expressed her thoughts clearly. Instead of dwelling on her usual worries about making mistakes, she focused on sharing her insights. As the team engaged with her ideas, she noticed smiles on their faces, encouragement that bolstered her spirit. That evening, Sara took a moment to reflect on her day. Sitting at her kitchen table with a cup of herbal tea, she recalled how much things had changed. The person she was before felt distant, buried beneath layers of self-doubt and worry. Each time she stepped up and shared her opinions, she not only gained others' respect but also began to respect herself more. It felt more profound than any compliment she had received, it was about believing in her own voice. After reflecting on her progress, Sara decided to keep the momentum going. She joined online forums and local groups focused on personal growth and confidence building. Each week offered new lessons, and as she connected with others who shared similar struggles, she realized she wasn't alone. Between books and discussions, she learned techniques to eliminate self-sabotage from her life, transforming her negative thoughts into productive ones. As challenges arose, she kept a journal to track her journey. Writing became a way for her to process every experience. Each entry revealed just how far she had come from the girl who feared speaking, reflecting on both her growth and her setbacks. Her mindset shifted gradually, she no longer saw challenges as threats but as opportunities to learn. Instead of avoiding situations that once intimidated her, she was eager to embrace them. In one workshop, Sara volunteered to lead a discussion. The familiar flutter of nervousness returned. But instead of letting it consume her, she acknowledged it as a sign of growth. "This means I'm pushing myself," she thought with pride. She stood before the group, and even though her heart raced, she felt more grounded in her strength. The support and enthusiasm from her friends encouraged her, validating her journey towards self-acceptance. The more she reflected on her experiences and faced challenges head-on, the more she understood the power of believing in herself. Each new step reinforced her emerging confidence, teaching her that stumbling was simply part of learning. Sara looked forward to the future, excited about the opportunities ahead, ready to embrace them with a heart filled with courage. Life felt different now, blooming with possibilities as she stepped forward into a renewed sense of self. As weeks turned into months, Sara felt a newfound energy in her life. With each passing day, her confidence continued to grow. She remembered the impact that her presentation had made on her, and she wanted to give back, to share what she had learned with others who might be struggling as she once had. A spark of inspiration ignited within her. She would help others find their voices just like she found hers. Sara decided to start a small group at her workplace called Confidence Connect. The idea was simple: create a safe space where colleagues could share their fears and experiences while learning from one another. During the first meeting, she sat in front of a few co-workers, her heart racing slightly. But as she started to speak, something remarkable happened. The nervousness melted away, and she smiled as she saw those familiar expressions of uncertainty reflected back at her. They were just like she had once been, eager for support but filled with doubt. After sharing her story, she invited others to speak about their experiences. One by one, her co-workers opened up about their fears and challenges. Sara listened intently, captivated by their honesty. The bond among them strengthened as they laughed and offered words of encouragement. It was satisfying to see that she could guide others to recognize their worth just as she had learned to recognize her own. Feeling more empowered, she also ventured online. She started a blog to document her journey towards self-improvement. Writing allowed her the chance to share lessons that had reshaped her mind. Each entry reflected the triumphs and struggles she faced, from overcoming the fear of public speaking to understanding that embracing vulnerability is a part of growth. Readers began to respond, sharing their own stories and thanking her for being open and relatable. With every comment, her heart swelled with joy. It was amazing to recognize the positive impact of doing something she loved. Sara also decided to create a YouTube channel. The thought of speaking to an audience captured her breath. Yet, she reminded herself that it was another opportunity to conquer her fears. When the camera turned on, she spoke as if she were talking to a friend. Each video was a little window where she could motivate others to face their insecurities. She offered practical tips on topics like positive thinking, overcoming public speaking anxiety, and setting achievable goals. Slowly but surely, she built a community of supporters who came together to inspire one another. As she mentored others, she reflected on how much she had grown. Sitting at her desk one evening, she reread her earlier blog posts, surprised at how far she had come. The feelings of fear that had once cluttered her mind now felt distant, like a faded photograph. Teaching others before her camera and connecting with her co-workers filled her with purpose. She realized that inspiring them not only helped them but reaffirmed her belief in herself. Sara began to notice that helping others illuminated her own path of growth. Each time someone shared their successes or expressed gratitude for her advice, she felt a deeper connection to her journey. From the nervous girl who avoided the spotlight to the empowering mentor at the head of a room, she saw her evolution mirrored in the lives of those around her. Sara celebrated each small win with her friends, who were now more open to sharing their stories. The confidence connecting people blossomed through the simplicity of being vulnerable together. This realization fueled her desire to keep spreading positivity, understanding that she had the power to make a difference, helping others to uncover the strength that had always been within them, just waiting for a chance to shine. As the months passed, Sara experienced a sense of empowerment that became a part of her daily life. The work environment around her buzzed with collaboration and creativity, unlike anything she had experienced before. She felt a deeper connection with her colleagues, especially those who had joined her Confidence Connect group. They shared ideas, celebrated wins, and supported one another through challenges. Sara took where she started and transformed not just her own life but also the lives of others. The interactions within her team had changed. They were more open to communicating, listening to one another, and embracing feedback without fear of judgment. The shift in culture at work was profound. As Sara continued to lead the group, she realized that her journey of personal growth influenced even those around her. One sunny morning, she arrived at the office, feeling a warm glow of positivity. Her manager approached her with an exciting opportunity. "We have an upcoming conference, and I think you would do an amazing job presenting our project," he said, eyes sparkling with trust. Unlike before, Sara smiled wide at the suggestion. Instead of feeling fearful or anxious, she felt excitement at the thought of sharing her ideas with others. "Absolutely, I would love to," she replied without hesitation. Her voice resonated with the confidence she had built over her recent journey. In preparation for the conference, she took a systematic approach. She mapped out her speech, practiced in front of the mirror, and even recorded herself to refine her presentation. This time around, every step felt like a chance to paint her growth journey rather than a way to mask her fear. Remembering how she had once trembled at the thought of public speaking, she realized how far she had come. She was no longer running away from challenges, rather, she was inviting them in with open arms. The day of the conference arrived, and Sara stood on the stage, overlooking the audience. As she spoke, she imparted not only her project's details but also the essence of growth she believed in. It was about facing fears, embracing vulnerabilities, and creating a supportive environment where everyone could shine. With every word, she felt completely in the moment, alive and grateful for the journey that brought her here. Her experience changed more than just her perceptions, it also shaped her values. She discovered that growth is a lifelong process, something that requires courage, persistence, and heart. With this understanding, she resolved to continue helping others, always ready to lend support as she learned from her own experiences. Outside of work, her friendships deepened as well. Sara remained involved in her local community, leading workshops on self-improvement and confidence building. The fulfillment she felt was incredible, knowing that she could potentially change someone's life for the better simply by sharing her journey. As she stood in front of a room filled with eager learners, she found a sense of purpose, her passion for upliftment returning to her tenfold. At home, life felt enriched too. Even in quiet moments, she reflected on her journey with deep appreciation. Those journal entries, the blog posts, and the videos filled her with joy as they captured the essence of her growth, lighting up paths for others. She understood now that every new challenge would not just be a test, instead, it would become an opportunity for further growth, reaffirming her belief in embracing the unknown. Sara had made the leap from living in fear to dancing with courage. That transformation opened doors to future possibilities. She felt empowered, ready to face whatever came next. The journey she embarked upon was no longer about overcoming resistance but about celebrating every step taken in the direction of her dreams. The horizon felt brighter, and the future shone with endless prospects, each filled with the promise of growth and fulfillment.